Everybody, it's your boy Billy Wayne back again with Legacy United, a Righteous Project Inc. podcast, and we got a new guest today, a longtime friend. As always, go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Aaron Gonerway here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Aaron Gonerway. So, we go way back to our high school days, and I'm glad that you honoring us with your presence today, man. And as the audience already knows, we invite people to share their success stories, things they've gone through, key moments in their life that helped them and guided them to the point they are today. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pass it your way, Aaron, man, and just take it from the top.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Billy. Yeah, we go back from high school, man. South High, class of '02. So it's really good seeing people that you grew up with in their position now. So, Billy, man, appreciate it, man.
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
it. Again, I'm Aaron Gonerway. From Texas originally, but I grew up in Denver. Middle school, high school, and some elementary school as well. Went to college, Trinidad State Junior College. Yeah, man. So I was just trying to find my way in life. So I kind of had a lot of jobs. So I was I work retail, work restaurants, work customer service. Then I finally got a job at a brokerage firm. I was at Charles Schwab for 10 years. I had my Series 7 and my Series 63. So that was kind of my first grown-up job.
Yeah, man.
It's one of those places, man. Corporate world wasn't for me. It's just it's too many rules, man.
Right.
And once you get older, you just don't want to drink the Kool-Aid. Don't taste good, man. You just can't drink it. And that was me with the corporate world. I just wasn't the person to drink the Kool-Aid. And I found myself in a position where I was blessed to have a job, but I just wasn't happy. And people I work with was there for 20, 30 years and they're miserable. I'm like, man, I don't want to be that person,
Right.
And here I am, I'm 10 years in, and I'm like, damn, like this person looks mad and angry and something told me there's something more better out there for me. I just got to find it. And life happens, man. I was married to my kid's wife, my kid's mother. I have two beautiful children, and life just makes you kind of settle. And I found myself settling for that corporate job because I had bills, and I always tell people now, man, my kids can't eat excuses, so I just couldn't. I was afraid to take that chance. And then again, life happens, man. We end up going our separate ways, and I found myself just kind of bouncing around, and that's when I kind of got the fire in my ass to kind of leave that corporate setting to another corporate setting. Then I end up moving to Pueblo, Colorado, which was another culture shock for me. Even though it is Colorado, man, it's just a lot of people that look like me is not there, man. And when you apply when you apply for jobs, you find yourself being the only black person, and that was kind of a huge challenge for me because when they see my resume, it doesn't match my appearance, and when I go to these jobs, and they're shocked to see me, because I don't have a black name, I don't. And when you hear me on the phone, I don't talk black, so when I walk to the interview, it's like, oh, you're Aaron,
Right. Yep.
And
I hear you, man.
And Pueblo is more of a union town. Old school ways, man, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I bounced around in jobs, and I found myself again, it's not your journey, it's what God has planned out for you. I end up in South Carolina, and that's where my two oldest live. And again, man, it's just humbling when you put yourself out there again. I found myself back to square one again, trying to find employment.
Right.
And I tell people all the time, I applied at McDonald's, and McDonald's didn't hire me. And that was probably the most gut-wrenching feeling in the world that when you think that if all fails, I'll just flip burgers, right? And then when you go to flip
Right,
burger,
right.
when you go try to flip burgers, they tell you that you're too qualified.
Damn, that's
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah,
and between me and you, Billy, man, I sat in my car and I cried, man. I was like, here I
yeah,
am
yeah.
moving across states. I got like $500 in my name.
Right,
I got a cell phone bill. I got to pay child support. And thankfully, my brother lives out there, and that's who I stay with. And he never charged me rent or anything, and I'm blessed to have that, But as far as
yeah,
like
straight up.
bills, man, like that, that time in South Carolina really, really humbled me. I end up finding jobs, I sold
Right,
cars and I started doing new home construction because that was the only places that would give me a chance. And the whole
right.
selling cars things again taught me not to trust people,
Yeah,
and that's one job that you can't take an off day. You're there from Monday through Saturday. Thank
right.
God, that's the Bible Belt, and they don't sell cars on Sunday. But you're there from open to close, and that's 9 to 9 every
Yeah,
day. All commission. So it really taught me
yeah, yeah.
that okay, I can't just chill in my cubicle. I got to get out there and work. I got to make these cold calls. I got to get hung up on. I end up doing pretty good. But
Right,
that wasn't what God had planned for me. So I went from the cars to doing construction. And again, I worked corporate America my whole life, and here I am out here in the trenches, man, um,
right.
doing work that I never thought I would do. I didn't know how to use a saw. I didn't know how to. I couldn't tell you what if it wasn't a hammer or a wrench. I didn't know what tools were. And that's saying that
Yeah,
humbly.
right.
Because how many people can you give
Yep,
a
yep.
toolbox to and say, hey, go hand me that such and such tool, and they'll bring you the right tool back. And I found myself in that situation, and it was
Right.
embarrassing, man, because people talk shit about you. People like, oh, what the fuck, you don't know what this kind of wrench is.
Yep.
I'm like, truthfully, I really don't, sir. And I wasn't really that great
Right, right. Yep.
reading the tape measure, so I had to, go to YouTube, man, and really like
Yep.
buckle down and get good at it. And I got really good at that job because again, my kids can't eat excuses, and here I am
Right.
making $28 an hour in Colorado. I'm making $13 an hour doing new home
Yeah. Yeah.
construction, man. So that's, and with the overtime, I was constantly working, but I found myself falling behind financially, and that was a big
Right.
draw for me to have to figure out what is it that I'm supposed to be doing. Am I supposed to stay out here in South Carolina and struggle financially, or is there something out there better for me? So I started applying for jobs back in Colorado, and I would get a call back just like that, man. But I
Okay.
wasn't I wasn't out there. And said, oh, when you move back here, give us a call. So that was really a deciding factor that I need to get my butt back to
Yeah.
Denver because
Wow.
that's
Okay.
that's where I'm able to find a job. And
Right.
and I told my two oldest kids, if I can't support myself, I can't support you guys.
Yep.
And it sucks because here I am again, not leaving them, but I have to follow the money. And
Yeah.
that's the tough part. Um, so I came back to Colorado in 2018. I got a job with Arapahoe County Fairgrounds. I was an event foreman. Um, Worked that job for a while. I got promoted to an event supervisor. Um, I was horrible at that job, Billy. I didn't know how to
Dang.
manage. I didn't know how
Okay.
to manage people, man, and that was the hard part. Is
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
is
Gotcha.
is managing personalities.
Yeah.
And between me and you, I had a shitty staff. I had about one good person and two bad employees who
Ooh. Yeah.
controlled what everybody
Oh,
else did.
the environment.
The
Right. Yep.
environment,
Yep.
So,
Right.
and when COVID happened, COVID kind of shut us down, and we became an alternative care facility. So
Dang.
I would work 2 days and have the rest of the week off. So I would come home to my wife and be like, man, I hate going to work. I hate this
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
And I'm back again. Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And with the world events, with the whole George Floyd thing going on,
Right.
like
Right.
that really showed me how people really felt about a lot of stuff. Because office conversations changed. Office conversations
Yep.
was more
Ooh.
sensitive and
Yeah. Big time.
was more intense. So
Right.
you
Right.
you really felt people's heart. You really knew where they stood, and
Right.
it wasn't for me. So one day my wife told me, "Won't you start selling your barbecue?" And I told her I don't want to do that shit, man, because on on
Yeah.
on Facebook it was just free for all. Everybody selling
It
plates.
was. Yep.
People was selling
Yeah.
alcohol. They'll throw some chili
Right.
cheese and hot Cheetos on some burritos and sell it for 20
It,
bucks.
yeah. Exactly. Right. Yep.
I
Yep.
didn't want to be a part of that rat race, man. So she was
Gotcha.
like,
Yeah.
you know what? Well, we're actually doing it, and I was like, damn, we are. So that day we went to Sam's
Yeah.
Club and bought some meat, man. And I text 25 of my friends and say, hey, I'm doing plates
Yep.
this weekend. You want to buy them? Let me know. And thankfully, I pre-sold 25 of them, and I was blessed to have people buy them.
Nice.
And then the day of the cook, man, like I wasn't nothing special. It's what I always did. I made the barbecue. I delivered them. And then for the first, I'll say 2 hours, my phone was dry. I'm like, damn, they hated that food. Nobody's hitting me back up. Like,
Dang.
you know how you refresh your
Yeah.
phone to see if the text messages came in? And then next thing I know, Billy, my phone's getting flooded with like, oh my gosh, that was good. Are you doing it next weekend? My neighbor wants to buy a plate. So
That's what's up.
I'm like, well, I guess I'm doing it next weekend. So every weekend for my job, I would do plates on Saturdays. So it kind of made my week better because
Okay.
I had something to look forward to, you know. So then we had the transition. My
Yep.
garage became a prep place. I was using two small 25-gallon smokers in my backyard. Um, my neighbors thought I was
Ooh.
selling
Okay.
drugs, man. Okay, all these cars that show up on Saturdays. So it was really cracking, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it hit me. I'm like, I'm
Wow.
I'm making my salary off 1 days of work. Why the
Yeah.
hell am I going back to work on
Nice. Okay.
Mondays? So it's like I don't need to go. I like fuck my
Right.
job. Like I hate this
Okay.
place. So it kind of gave me a more of
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
push to kind of quit. So I talked to my wife. I was like, hey man, like
Okay.
what's the next step? What should we do? And thank God, man, she's always been in my corner. She said, if you want to do this, let's do this. So I ended up quitting my job. We drove around looking for locations, and we found my location off of Montview.
Okay.
Um, so then we ended up signing the
Yep.
lease, man, and went from there. And I had never expected it to go the way it went. It was scary, Billy, to go from selling food out of your house
Yeah. I bet.
to actually owning a restaurant. And I don't know how to run a business, neither does my wife. So
Right.
we kind
Right.
of we fell on our ass a few times, man, and that's kind of
Yep.
how you get better, is how you learn, is by making mistakes. And we had to learn how to, again, manage people, manage money, manage food, buying the
Right.
right enough food. And it was hard. I'll say the
Yep.
first 4 months we really didn't make no money. I tell people that all the time, like,
Hmm.
well, you sold out. Like, well, we sold out of food, but we really making no bread. And I had to, dig deep and
Right.
ask my friends, like, dude, like, what do you do at your spot? So just by me networking, I reached out to a few friends in Texas and say, hey, what's your menu? What do you charge? So I had to take out the plates. The plates is where you lose money. You just can't make money
Yeah.
selling $20 plates. You're giving away food. So the a la carte
Right.
method worked for me, and it helped me subsidize the cost of the food. So I was making 3 times my cost is where you should always
Okay.
be at when you run a restaurant. Breaking even, you might as well shut the door. But if you got to make 3 times your cost or more,
Oh,
and once I
yeah.
changed my menu, I started seeing an extra 3,000,
Interesting. Okay.
extra 4,000, on Saturdays. But it took us 5 months to actually get to that point. And you see in my restaurant, man, people will show up hours before we got a chance to
Yeah.
open and
Oh, yeah. Line around. Yeah. Right.
line around the
Yep.
block, man. And it's humbling at
Yeah,
the same
man.
time, but
Yep.
you start to create haters. It was like, well, what is he doing that makes his food so special? So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
just learning how to navigate the
Right.
good
Yep.
and the bad. Sorry. And it's like people who wanted to
Oh,
be
you good.
close to me, I always question their motives. Like why they want to work for me now, where a month ago,
Right.
they was talking about me,
Yep. Yep.
so I kind of kept my circle close. I did all the cooking myself. I didn't want to hire nobody because to me, consistency brings people back.
Yep.
And that's what most restaurants I think lack is
Facts.
it'll
Right.
taste great one day, and then next week you'll see like,
Yeah.
man, it's a little off. So I had to really like say, okay, I don't want to be
Right.
that restaurant that has a wishy washy taste or flavor profile, and it really took a toll on my body, Billy. I ain't gonna lie.
Yep.
I would be up late, slept at the restaurant, up early. It's
Yeah,
just
man.
like it's a lot of work, man. And me having another kid, I had a 3-year-old.
Oh, yeah. Tough, man.
So like I had to really be there for him. And thankfully, with my schedule at the
Right.
restaurant, I was able to take him to school, pick him up, and still have that family time that I always wanted that I couldn't with my 2 oldest because of the corporate America. Like you had to
Right.
be there. I couldn't take off. You got to put in for a vacation. It has to be approved by a
Yep.
manager. You got to have coverage, and with my 1 day a week at the
Yep.
restaurant,
Right.
it allowed me with that flexibility. Like if I wanted to close down and come back to Texas to visit family, I can do that. So thankfully,
Yeah.
that
Right.
restaurant gave me that family stability that I was lacking, um, in the whole
That's what's
past.
up.
So
That's
the
what's up, man.
the restaurant was doing really good, man, but we really felt that we worked too hard to kind of be in where we're at in a position, and we always wanted to
Right.
move um, to own our own farm, and that was our next kind of goal that my wife and I kind of set for ourselves. It was like, hey, let's do this for 5 years or even 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then let's go buy property
Right.
somewhere, and build our future retirement home at that property. And me being from Texas, man, I always wanted to be
Right.
close to family, and I want to give my kids that childhood that I had to run outside, not worry about cars,
Right.
not worry about just the
Mm.
city shit that you worry about a lot in Denver. And between me
Oh,
and
yeah.
you,
Yeah, man. Right. Right.
we had somebody get murdered outside of our apartments while we was staying
Man, I
in
remember
Denver.
that, man. Crazy.
Yeah,
Right outside.
right
Yeah.
outside.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that
Man.
wasn't they decided in fact like this shit's getting too
Wow.
close to home. It's time for us to get the hell out of here, man. And people call me crazy because I'm leaving my
Right. Right.
restaurant at its highest peak. Like, dude, you're making XYZ on a Saturday. You want to close it down and move to where? But it's like again,
Right.
it's my journey, my legacy, and I always tell you, Billy, I'm big about generational wealth, man. And
Yeah, man.
you can own a house in Colorado, and 5 years from now, that house can be worth nothing. Or you can go buy some land somewhere. That land's gonna be in demand
Right.
every year. Because one thing they ain't
Yep.
making no more of
Yep.
is land.
Right.
They're making a lot of houses, but they ain't making no more land.
That's true.
And that's why we said we
Yeah.
gotta
Facts. Right.
go buy us a piece of land somewhere. And something happened whenever I pass or my wife passed, it goes to my 3 kids. And I tell my daughter now, who's the
Yep.
oldest, whatever you do, pay the taxes. If you guys want to keep it, just pay the
Yeah. Right.
taxes.
Exactly.
Or you can sell it and
Yep.
divide it
Yep.
between the three of you guys. But as black
There you
people,
go.
we don't have a lot of inheritance, and that's
Right.
one thing that I want to give my kids is
Exactly.
that extra push or that step to get them ahead in life. So either they can stay there and build a house, or they can sell it and go move somewhere else. So
Yep. And build from there too. Yep.
and build
Yep.
from there
I got
too.
you.
So and we've been out.
What's up,
We
man?
moved to Texas July of 2023. We end up buying 20 acres. So place by the pound
Nice.
is Gunaway Farms. So that's my house. That's my our name of my farm. We have cows. We got chickens. We
Yeah.
we do our own garden, man.
Dope.
So it's just kind of our gateway to self sustainable lifestyle.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Man, that's what's up, man. That's a big story, man, and a lot of it, as you were speaking, it just rings true with a lot of situations a lot of people face. And I want to take it back a little bit when you were talking about the corporate world, man. Is depending on your ethnicity, everybody has a different um, experience.
Exactly.
Going through the corporate world, and you know same thing that you were experiencing as far as your name and your experience and your history, um, not reflecting the same way that you look. That's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing that I've been through. I still go through that to this day,
Uh-huh.
and having to navigate through that corporate world, man. It's tough, man. Sometimes you have to eat what situation you face, and you really face that life making decision. Should I call these people out, or should I just um move and transition into something different, because it's an aggressive um lifestyle to live, especially in that corporate life, man. So it's great to see that through a lot of things that you've been through,
Mm-hmm.
that you're able to get to that point to make that decision, even though it was scary, that decision to actually open the restaurant. Because, and I tell my son this as well. I told him this the other day, and he's a teenager. He barely listens, but whatever. I told him
Mm-hmm.
90% of people talk. They talk big game. Oh, I want to do this. I'm going to do this, or I want to get this established. Oh, I got this sponsor. They're going to do this. 90% of people say that,
Mm-hmm.
but only 10% actually execute from there. You know,
Exactly.
I mean, I see it all the time. People always say that I'll do this, I'll do that, or we're gonna do this. I want to establish this. That's great, but then, man, 9 times out of 10, those same people later down the road still talking about the same thing. But you actually made that leap
And it,
that
it
a lot
was
of
it
people
was
don't.
it was hard, but I ain't gonna lie, because I was making a guaranteed
Yeah,
65,000 a year, at my job with the
right, right,
government. But it's
right.
like, once I saw the money I was making on weekends,
Yep,
again, when you're your own boss, you move different. Like I can't
yep,
call off sick. I can't, miss this. I have to do it no matter what. Where at the county,
right.
I had sick time and vacation time,
Yeah,
and then you kind of rely on that to kind of make an excuse for the day. So you find yourself
yeah,
in a
right.
slump, like, oh, fuck this place, I'm sick, or, and when you have your own
Yep,
restaurant or have your own
yep,
business, you can't do that. You gotta suck it up,
right.
buttercup, and
Yep,
definitely go out there,
yep,
man. And that's why it was so hard and scary at first when we wasn't seeing no money. Thankfully we had some money saved in our savings, but
yeah,
we didn't want to rely on that savings because we may need
yep.
that down the line,
Exactly.
you
Yeah, for
know.
something. Yeah. Right.
And I
Right.
tell people now,
I think.
man, go ahead.
Yep. No, no. I was going to say that I think that's where a lot of people don't understand as well, is that setting those actual goals. to kind of get there as well. You know, like you said, it was tough for you guys to get through it, and there's a lot of businesses that don't make money within the first couple of years.
Hmm.
You know, and that's where the businesses fail because the mindset is, dang, am I doing the right thing?
Right.
Or should I just give up and do this or go back to what I was doing? You know, but people that progressively say, okay, well, man, it's not working. Let me reach out. And just like you were saying, man, you reached out to your counterparts, to
Hmm.
people that were doing the things that you were doing to figure out, okay, so I got the experience. We did this. I'm not making money, but what do you guys do? And they
Right.
gave you that feedback. And you were humble enough to accept the feedback and implement it. You know, some people are like, nah, I mean, you do it that way. I think this is going to be the right way, but you were humble enough to take that feedback, man, implement it and see those changes, man. And I think that's really big. That's really big, man. So, but yeah, go ahead. I think you were saying something as well.
No, when piggyback what you just said, when it ain't working, man, you gotta throw it out and see what sticks, man. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
definitely all ears, but I've
yep,
definitely learned to, if you're not going the way I'm going or the same direction,
right,
I don't want your advice, and that's not being mean because especially
yep,
barbecue, as you know,
yep,
everybody's a grill master, everybody's a expert. Oh, my husband makes the best ribs, so
yeah,
this goes
right,
from me
mm-hmm, yep,
taking advice from not everybody. If you ain't got a restaurant,
right, right, right,
I really don't care how your ribs are.
man. I feel
I'm
you, right,
I'm pretty
right,
sure they taste good, but again, we're
yep,
not on the same level.
yep,
And that's not being arrogant. That's just saying like,
yeah,
what is that gonna do for me? You know?
yep, yep,
So
right.
I had to go to
I
people who was actually doing it,
yep.
and and thankfully they didn't see me as a threat, and they answered my questions, which I'm very thankful for.
So you told me this before, and I never thought about it this way. It was when you were developing. Actually, you had your hot sauce out already. You know, you had me try some as well, and that night you told me, you said everybody's going to have an opinion on how to make your stuff better. You know, it doesn't matter who it is. Everybody's going to have that opinion.
Oh
You
yeah.
can't just take
Hmm.
everybody's word for what it is. You know, you got to, there's a certain point where you got to
You
trust
can't.
what you're
You.
doing. And I was like, man, you're right. You know, and you sit around, with this podcast that I'm doing, or, with the nonprofit, or even with your the restaurant, is that more people that are
Hmm.
not doing what you're doing are going to have the best change that you can make to your whatever it is to make it better. And you can't just take that feedback. And some people get mad about that, man. But it's real. I can't just listen to somebody who has not experienced how to build something from the ground up. To get to that point. But then you're going to come around and tell me,
Exactly.
oh man, you know what's going to make it better? This. I'm like, okay, that sounds what's up, man. Where'd you get that experience from, though? So that's big facts, man.
Right. And my biggest thing is if it I love my favorite quote. If it was me, I would do this. I
Man,
was like, oh, that's great,
right.
but it's not
Yeah.
you. So
For real, man. For real. But yeah, man, I think you took a lot of strides.
we had to, man. And again, like my kids can't eat excuses, man. So at this point, I was all in, and I refused to because my old job thought I was gonna come back, and I'm like, fuck this, man. This shit has to work. So yeah, I'm not going back. I'm not calling y'all. I'm like fill my position with somebody else because I'm not coming back there, and thankfully I have that mentality, man. You had to sink or swim, and I had to put on my floaties and learn how to backstroke because it had to work, man.